Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. The higher you rise above the crowd, the more your shadow stands alone. Sigmas live by this unspoken truth. They don't fit in because they were never meant to, and that's precisely what makes them stand out. But here's the kicker. This journey of self-mastery and independence isn't all triumph and glory. Behind every confident stride is a trail of silent battles, misunderstood motives, and truths they can never share with anyone. Did you know that people who are highly self-reliant are more prone to feeling isolated, even when surrounded by others? That's the paradox of the Sigma. They thrive in solitude, yet occasionally feel the crushing weight of carrying the world alone. Why? Because the road less traveled doesn't come with rest stops or a cheering squad. But let's not sugarcoat it. Being a Sigma isn't some glossy Instagram highlight reel. There's a dark side to carving your own path, one that few people ever see. And no, it's not about brooding in a corner like some mysterious superhero. It's raw, unfiltered, and often downright brutal. Curious? Let's dive into the harsh realities every Sigma must face, and face alone. Number 1. Everyone wants the benefits. No one offers support. People love to be around a Sigma because they exude strength, independence, and wisdom. It's intoxicating to be in the presence of someone who seems to have life figured out. The problem? Most people only want the benefits of being near a Sigma, not the responsibility of actually supporting them. They assume the Sigma doesn't need help, so they take without giving, lean without asking, and leave without noticing the weight they've added. Sigmas aren't complainers. They won't tell you when they're drowning under everyone else's expectations. They'll carry the load quietly, watching as others come to them for guidance, advice, or reassurance, while offering little to nothing in return. It's exhausting, but the Sigma keeps going, partly because they've accepted this as the price of being different. The real tragedy lies in the fact that most people don't even realize they're draining the Sigma. They confuse their calm exterior with infinite reserves of strength, but the truth is, Sigmas burn out too. They just don't show it. And when they finally do step back to protect themselves, they're often met with criticism or confusion. Why are you being distant? You've changed. What changed was their ability to tolerate the constant one-sidedness. It's ironic, really. People idolize the Sigma's independence but don't realize it comes at a cost. They think, you're strong, you can handle it. But even the strongest person craves genuine support every once in a while. Sigmas don't need saving, but they do need reciprocity, a rare commodity in a world that sees their strength as infinite. This is why they often retreat, not because they don't care, but because they've learned the hard way that few people will ever care enough to notice when they're the ones in need. Number 2. Their intelligence makes others uncomfortable. Sigma individuals possess a level of intelligence that isn't just sharp, it's disruptive. They don't see the world through the same rigid frameworks as everyone else. While most people cling to societal norms and conventional thinking, Sigmas reject the entire structure altogether. To them, there is no box to think outside of. The box itself is an illusion. Their ideas, insights, and solutions often challenge the status quo, making people around them uncomfortable. Not because they're wrong, but because they're unsettlingly right. Here's where the problem starts. Most people prefer the comfort of familiarity, even if it means settling for mediocrity. Sigmas, on the other hand, don't tolerate mediocrity in any form. They question what others blindly accept, poke holes in flawed systems, and propose bold ideas that demand action. This disruptiveness doesn't make them popular in group settings. Instead, it alienates them, as their intelligence is seen as a threat rather than an asset. It's not just about being smarter, it's about seeing deeper. Sigmas can see problems before they arise, motives behind actions, and truths that others would rather ignore. This ability to cut through the noise with precision is both their gift and their curse. People who aren't ready for that level of insight often react defensively, labeling the Sigma as arrogant, difficult, or too much. The irony is, Sigmas don't flaunt their intelligence. They don't seek validation or try to prove they're the smartest in the room. Yet their mere presence disrupts the comfort zones of those who've spent their lives avoiding hard truths. For the Sigma, This is a lonely reality, being the person who always sees more but is rarely embraced for it. Number 3. Trust feels like a fool's gamble. For a Sigma, trust isn't something handed out freely. It's a high-stakes gamble with odds they're rarely willing to take. Their sharp instincts and deep understanding of human behavior make them hyper-aware of the cracks beneath polished exteriors. They can see through the fake smiles, the half-hearted promises, and the unspoken agendas most people carry. To the Sigma, trust isn't just about believing someone won't betray you. It's about knowing they have the emotional depth and integrity to handle the weight of loyalty. And let's face it, most people don't. Sigmas are the kind of individuals who invest fully when they decide to let someone in, so they're painfully cautious about who gets that privilege. Every interaction is measured, every intention dissected. It's not paranoia, it's experience. They've likely been burned before, giving their trust to people who turned out to be unreliable or opportunistic. That's why the question constantly looms in their mind: is this connection worth the risk? Most of the time, the answer is no. The problem isn't that Sigmas don't want to trust, it's that they know how fragile trust really is. They understand that people are often driven by self-interest, even unintentionally, and that loyalty is an increasingly rare currency. Betrayal for a Sigma isn't just a personal sting, it feels like proof that their instincts about people were right all along. This is why they often come across as distant or reserved. It's not that they're cold, it's that they value their peace and emotional security above all else. Trust, for them, is a door that opens slowly, and only for those who have proven themselves time and time again. And even then, the Sigma never fully lets go of the doubt lingering in the background. Number 4, they're held to an impossible standard. Sigmas are often seen as unshakable forces, self-reliant, composed, and always in control. This perception becomes a double-edged sword. People assume they have life perfectly figured out, so when a Sigma stumbles even for a moment, it feels like the world is waiting to pounce. Their mistakes aren't viewed as normal human errors, but as shocking failures that threaten to unravel their entire identity in the eyes of others. The irony is, Sigmas never claimed to be invincible. They've just learned to navigate life on their own terms, which others often mistake for perfection. It's not that they're trying to project an image of flawlessness, they simply don't broadcast their struggles. But this creates a dangerous expectation. People start believing the Sigma is immune to the challenges and vulnerabilities everyone else faces. When a Sigma finally does show weakness, whether it's expressing doubt, asking for help, or admitting they're overwhelmed, it's met with disbelief, or worse, judgment. You? Struggling? I thought you had it all together. These reactions only reinforce the Sigma's instinct to retreat further, hiding their struggles behind an even stronger facade. The weight of these impossible standards is exhausting. Sigmas are allowed to support others, but the same courtesy isn't often extended to them. They're expected to be the rock, the problem solver, the one who doesn't crack under pressure. And when they do crack, it's treated as a betrayal of the image others have built for them. This impossible standard creates an isolating reality. Sigmas carry their burdens quietly, knowing that vulnerability might cost them respect or trust. It's a lonely paradox, being admired for strength yet punished the moment they reveal they're human. Number 5. Being different attracts hidden enemies. Being different isn't just a trait for the Sigma, it's their identity. They don't conform, they don't seek approval, and they're unapologetically themselves. But this kind of authenticity doesn't sit well with everyone. While some people admire it, others feel threatened. And instead of confronting the Sigma directly, they turn to quieter, more insidious methods of attack. Jealousy disguised as friendliness, subtle digs hidden in compliments, or opportunities quietly taken away behind their back. These hidden enemies often come from places you'd least expect. Friends, co-workers, or even family. Why? Because the Sigma's confidence and independence shine a spotlight on other people's insecurities. The Sigma doesn't follow the herd, and that alone can feel like a personal challenge to those who are deeply invested in fitting in. Instead of reflecting on their own lives, these individuals channel their discomfort into undermining the Sigma, hoping to dim their light just enough to feel better about themselves. What makes this even more difficult is that Sigmas aren't typically looking for enemies. They're too busy focusing on their goals, their growth, and their peace. This makes them an easy target for covert sabotage because they're not actively watching their back. By the time the damage is done, it often feels like betrayal, being blindsided by someone they didn't even realize had a problem with them. The Sigma's refusal to conform exposes truths that many people would rather keep buried. This is what makes them a magnet for hidden enemies. The Sigma doesn't provoke intentionally, but their mere existence challenges the comfortable illusions others cling to. And so, the attacks come, not with open hostility, but with quiet acts of sabotage that force the Sigma to tread carefully in a world where being different can make you a target. Number 6. Success makes them a target. For Sigmas, success isn't about showing off. It's the natural result of their relentless drive, self-discipline, and refusal to settle for less. But instead of being met with genuine applause, their achievements often come with an unexpected cost: envy. People might clap on the surface, but beneath the smiles, there's resentment simmering, and it's not always subtle. The Sigma's success makes others feel inadequate because it highlights what they haven't done or what they've chosen to ignore about themselves. While most people are busy blending in or making excuses, the Sigma is quietly breaking barriers and setting a standard no one asked for, but everyone suddenly feels compared to. That kind of excellence doesn't just attract admiration, it breeds jealousy. And envy has a nasty habit of turning into sabotage. Instead of saying, "Wow, you've earned this," some people think, "How can I tear this down?" Whether it's spreading rumors, undermining their credibility, or deliberately withholding opportunities, the attacks often come from the shadows. And the most ironic part? Many of these saboteurs are the same people who once cheered the Sigma on. Friends, colleagues, or acquaintances who celebrated their wins until those wins started to feel threatening. The Sigma isn't oblivious to this. They see how quickly admiration can turn into quiet hostility. But instead of getting bitter, they adapt. They grow cautious about who they let into their circle and become more guarded with their victories. What should be a moment of celebration becomes a moment of reflection, because for a Sigma, every success comes with the realization that someone, somewhere, is plotting to take it away. It's the dark side of standing out. The higher they rise, the more visible and vulnerable they become. Number 7. Freedom comes with a heavy toll. For a Sigma, freedom isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. They refuse to bow to societal norms, trends, or expectations, carving out a path that's entirely their own. While this independence grants them unparalleled liberation, it doesn't come without its price. The world thrives on conformity, and anyone who dares to step outside the lines is bound to face resistance. For the Sigma, that resistance is relentless. Choosing freedom often means choosing loneliness. When you refuse to play by society's rules, you're seen as unpredictable and frankly inconvenient. People don't know what to make of you, and rather than trying to understand, they distance themselves. The Sigma quickly learns that living authentically often means walking alone. It's not that they can't build connections, they just refuse to compromise their identity to fit in. And most people aren't comfortable with that level of authenticity. On top of that, their every move is scrutinized. The same society that encourages individuality has an unspoken rule: don't stray too far. Sigmas break that rule unapologetically, and the world doesn't take kindly to it. They're judged for being too different, criticized for rejecting tradition, and labeled as difficult simply for refusing to comply. It's an exhausting reality, knowing that their freedom makes them a target for judgment and misunderstanding. Yet, despite the heavy toll, the Sigma never caves. They understand that the cost of freedom, loneliness, scrutiny, and opposition is still far less than the cost of conformity. To them, living authentically, even in a world that resists it, is worth every sacrifice. They'd rather face the harshness of walking their own path than endure the suffocation of living someone else's life. Freedom might be a lonely road, but for the Sigma, it's the only road worth taking. Number 8. The world mistakes their silence for weakness. When a Sigma chooses silence, it's not because they lack a voice. It's because they know when to use it. The world, however, often misinterprets this restraint as weakness. In a society that values noise, instant reactions, and the constant need to prove a point, the Sigma's quiet demeanor is seen as an inability to stand up for themselves. But that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Sigmas have no interest in wasting their energy on unnecessary drama or arguments that lead nowhere. They recognize that most conflicts are fueled by ego and insecurity, and they refuse to be dragged into that chaos. Their silence isn't passive, it's intentional. They calculate every move, every word, understanding that reacting impulsively only gives away power. By staying silent, they maintain control over their emotions and the situation, leaving others to stew in their own noise. This calm defiance unsettles people. Those who thrive on conflict expect a loud response, something they can latch onto and twist to their advantage. When the Sigma doesn't engage, it forces others to confront their own behavior. Silence, in this sense, becomes a mirror, reflecting the absurdity of the situation back at those who initiated it. But make no mistake, silence doesn't mean surrender. When a Sigma does choose to speak, their words carry weight because they're rare, deliberate, and cuttingly accurate. It's the kind of truth that leaves no room for rebuttal. Their silence is their strength, a refusal to be dragged into trivial battles, and a reminder that power isn't always loud. It's often in the quiet confidence of someone who knows they don't need to explain themselves to anyone. Number 9. Loneliness isn't a choice, it's an inescapable price. Loneliness isn't something the Sigma seeks out, it's a byproduct of their self-reliance and independence. While others may mistake their ability to stand alone as arrogance, the truth is far more complicated. Sigmas don't isolate themselves because they prefer to be alone. They simply don't have the luxury of finding people who truly understand them. Their autonomy is often misread as aloofness, making it hard to form deep, meaningful connections. They've learned the hard way that the more self-sufficient they become, the fewer people are capable of keeping up. Their ability to navigate life on their own terms creates a distance that no one can bridge. On the outside, it looks like they're intentionally pulling away, but in reality, the Sigma is just trying to protect themselves from a world that doesn't fit. It's easier to be alone than to try to fit into spaces that feel hollow or unfulfilling. And yet, despite this detachment, the Sigma's independence often sparks envy in others. People look at their quiet strength and think, "I wish I could do that," without understanding the isolation that accompanies it. The Sigma might seem like they have it all together, but the truth is, they often feel like an outsider. They live in a world where no one truly gets them, but at the same time, everyone wishes they could be like them. This paradox, the envy of their independence paired with the loneliness it brings, can be an exhausting emotional weight. In the end, the Sigma's loneliness isn't a choice. It's the price they pay for refusing to conform and for knowing that sometimes standing alone is the only way to maintain their sense of self. It's a reality few people can truly comprehend, and that's what makes it so isolating. Number 10. They see through facades, but no one likes being exposed. Sigmas have a rare ability to see through the facades people put up, and it's something they don't even need to try to do. It's almost instinctive, an ability to sense when someone is being less than genuine, when there's a hidden agenda, or when people are simply trying to manipulate a situation for their own gain. This heightened sense of perception often isolates them even further. People don't like being exposed, and when a Sigma can spot their lies or half-truths with unsettling accuracy, it puts others on edge. Most people build these facades as a form of protection or to maintain social order, but for the Sigma, there's no need for these masks. They don't play the game of pretense because they've learned that honesty is the only currency that holds real value. This unspoken truth creates discomfort in others, who may initially try to charm or manipulate the Sigma but can't maintain their masks for long. What happens next is often predictable. Those who feel exposed will either shrink away from the Sigma or lash out in an attempt to defend themselves. Some get hostile, throwing accusations or trying to discredit the Sigma's perception, hoping that if they create enough noise, the truth will remain hidden. But the Sigma isn't fooled. They remain calm, unshaken, seeing through the defenses and reading between the lines with a clarity others can't even fathom. This ability to cut through the noise unnerves people because it exposes a vulnerability they'd rather keep hidden. And it's not that the Sigma is out to attack, far from it. They just have no patience for the games people play. But in a world where facades are the norm, being the one who can see beyond them is both a blessing and a curse. It brings clarity, but it also drives a wedge between the Sigma and everyone else who'd prefer to keep their illusions intact. In the end, the Sigma's path is one marked by paradoxes. They live in a world that demands conformity but refuse to compromise their individuality. They are fiercely independent, yet they bear the heavy toll of loneliness and constant misunderstanding. Their ability to see through the facades of others and their quiet strength often make them targets of envy or suspicion, yet they remain resolute in their pursuit of authenticity. The Sigma is not driven by the need for approval or validation. They march to the beat of their own drum, even when it feels like the world is marching in a completely different direction. While the challenges they face are relentless, the Sigma's journey is also one of immense power. Power to remain true to themselves no matter the cost, to endure the weight of being misunderstood, and to stand strong in the face of a world that constantly seeks to fit them into predefined boxes. Their freedom, while costly, is a price they're willing to pay. In the end, the Sigma may be alone, but they're never truly lost. They are the ones who, in their silence and solitude, find their true strength. And while others may not always understand, it's that very independence that sets them apart, making them, in a world of conformity, the most extraordinary individuals of all. If you've resonated with anything here, you're not alone. The Sigma journey is one that not many understand, but we get it. So if you want more of this raw, unfiltered insight into the mindset of extraordinary individuals, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You won't find this kind of content anywhere else. Join us and be part of a community that embraces individuality, strength, and authenticity. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and keep evolving. Thanks for watching, my ladies. See you in the next video. Bye for now and God bless.